everybody. I'm Luna Willows,
And I'm Jenna Pierce. We'd love to welcome you to our podcast, The Flow of Ink.
which is a great place where we take our writing life day by day and our stories page by page.
So why don't you sit back, relax, and stay for a bit while we have a chat?
Yes. Hello, everybody.
Hi. Of course, I do want to make a quick little announcement here. I apologize last week for the brightness of the camera on my end with the glare in my glasses and stuff. So, trying to do something a little bit different. So, choosing a different background and messed around with the lighting a little bit. So, think we kind of got things a little bit more under control this time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Every episode will get better and better. We'll learn things and then just make improvements.
exactly. So, why are we here today? Well, we are here to talk about writer's block.
Mm-hmm.
What is writer's block? Why don't we start with you, Luna?
So, the technical definition for writer's block is that it's the condition of being unable to think of what to write or how to proceed with writing. So, I mean, I think it's a fair definition for sure, you know? Mhm. Everybody, I mean, I would say everybody gets it, but at the same time, there are people that think that writer's block is a myth, which is crazy to me.
Yep, and then there are authors such as me and Luna
hmm
who say, oh no, it's there.
There's actually like two or three that I know personally. J.K. Rowling had writer's block in the middle of one of her books because of like a lawsuit or something. It left her like not able to write. Harper Lee, the person who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, after she wrote that, she had severe writer's block because she felt like she could never write something as good as To Kill a Mockingbird. I think she only published like one thing after that.
Mhm.
And then Virginia Woolf, who I haven't read much of her stuff, but I know that she had experience with writer's block too.
Mm.
So, I mean, it happens.
Some of the greats, they get stuck just like we do. So,
Yeah, so why don't we jump into our first question? Why do you think, Jenna, that people get writer's block?
well, that's actually an interesting question with a loaded answer. There's a lot of different reasons why someone, an author, or not even just an author, anybody who's a playwright
Mm-hmm.
or screenwrites or writes music or what have you, anybody who writes anything can
Mm-hmm.
get possibly stuck on writer's block, and there's a couple different reasons why. Actually, there's a whole lot of different reasons why,
Yeah,
but
too
I
much.
think we should just tie it down to just a few. The first thing I would say is that um, the writer can be motivated to write, but may be feeling uncreative
hmm Definitely.
in terms of um, they're a little stuck in what to write, and sometimes it's things like where you are, what kind of a day, what time of the day it
hmm
is, and that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Um, do you think that affects you, Luna?
The time of day?
Hmm.
I definitely think so because I don't know about anybody else, but like when I wake up, if I don't have coffee to function, like my brain does not work. I always work better in the afternoon. And like it does depend on the setting. Like I do not like to write with a lot of people around
Hmm.
because then my mind is so occupied on other things. And my cat can make it difficult. So I like to wait till she's sleeping.
You know what? When I used to have a cat a few years ago, I had the same problem.
hmm
So they were always like the affectionate, especially the one whose name was Angel. She would just like crawl up to my lap and just like put a paw on my lap and just like
hmm
give me this look like, well, are you gonna,
hmm
put the laptop away and let me come cuddle on your lap?
hmm
Like, she was so sweet. But Yeah, so yeah, I understand the whole pet thing.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I would have to agree. For me, it's the time of day. For me, it is where I am.
Mhm.
Like I have some writers specifically prefer to work in like coffee shops and stuff
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
I have written in a coffee shop. I've also written in a bookstore,
Oh
Barnes and
yeah.
Noble.
Yep. I was just gonna say Barnes and Noble. Yes.
Right? I mean, if I really could, I probably if I was gonna go anywhere outside my house this day and age, I would probably stick with the bookstore because
Mhm. Yeah.
you're surrounded by books. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, for me, that's just
Home.
motivating. You know? And then, of course, the time of day does affect me in terms of writing. Like sometimes I can do it at night. Like if I'm alone and I got the peace and quiet,
Mhm.
and if I have like a lot on my mind, then I'll just put on some music and really I'll actually just like daydream for the
Mhm.
most part and just let the scenes of my books just wander about in
Yeah.
my mind and then you know and then I'll probably write sometime in the day throughout the day, but I tend to get my writing in done very early in the morning or late at night.
Yeah. Late at night is definitely a thing for me too because I have insomnia. So what better time to write than when you can't sleep? Like
When the rest of the world is asleep, right?
exactly. It's and for me too, I think it's about setting like an ambiance, setting up a like you said, like a bookstore is the perfect place to be writing.
Yep.
Like there's just this feeling in the air, and yes, you're surrounded by so many books, so there's like unlimited imagination just surrounding you, and it's awesome.
Right. Exactly. Um, I also don't like having too many people around, especially people trying to talk to you,
Mhm.
and it's just like kind of like you're in this like you don't want to be rude,
Mhm.
so you want to be attentive, but at the same time you're like, but I really have this idea in my
Mhm.
head that I need to get out like now.
Now. Yep.
You know? But it's just like yeah, so it's like you kind of have to pick and choose, and like for me, I've had to learn to just like okay, keep letting it play.
Mhm.
I mean, I have so many things running through my mind all the time anyway, so why not just let it be one of those things that just keeps,
Yeah.
replaying in my head until I can actually get it down on, my documents. All right, so moving on. I don't want to spend too much time on that one, but
Right.
moving on to the next one. People can feel creative but not feel motivated.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that's possible. It's weird cuz like motivation I've never really thought about that in the writing sense. Like,
Mhm,
whenever I have ideas in my head and stuff like that, maybe you could call that the motivation to write.
mhm,
But I've never just felt motivated to write. It's always like an idea or a feeling or something comes to me, so I want to write.
mhm.
Um, I think honestly, a part of an issue would be that,
Yeah, and it has to do with what's going on around
yeah,
you and where you're at and
and a person could
kind
want to
of
write but have no ideas. Just like, and you could call that writer's block, or maybe just like, writing isn't their main passion. So
mhm,
it's kind of like a side thing. So I feel like that could be possible. I guess I've never thought about motivation playing a factor. If you want to do it, then like you do it. I could
mhm.
see the situation where, you just don't have any ideas.
I feel like this can affect me in terms of like I could feel creative, like I could have something stuck in my head that just wants to get out of my head.
Hmm.
But like if I have too many things going on in my life
Hmm.
that require my attention, and that's just, and if those things that require my attention kind of have me not feeling,
Like, right.
my best self, then I kind of have no motivation. Like that motivation is just gone.
Yeah. I could see
So
that.
like the idea will just stay stuck in my head.
Hmm.
Um, then again, you mentioned a little bit, I think you said Harper Lee
Hmm.
with To Kill a Mockingbird,
Yep.
where you said that she just didn't think up that she would come up with anything else as great as To Kill a Mockingbird. I think that would fall in the category of self-doubt,
Yep.
possibly.
Oh yeah.
Because I do know I was looking into this a little bit, and there are some authors out there who do doubt their abilities. They don't think that they're gonna be.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what? I've had my moments too. You know,
Hmm.
I think I think every author goes through that at
Oh yeah.
some stage in the process of becoming an actual author and stuff. And it's just like even now, like I have a couple stuff published, but I'm just occasionally I have self doubt too. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I can understand that self doubt may be a cause for writer's block. I do believe it can be a cause for writer's block. Self doubt doesn't really stop me from writing my stuff. It might stop me from sharing it with other
Yeah.
people, but it at least for a little while. But
Hmm.
for me, I'm still gonna write.
Yeah.
If my heart is feeling it, I'm still gonna write it. What about you?
Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with you. It never has stopped me from writing. I have a lot of self doubt. Like, I just do not think that, like, my stuff would be good enough that it would really, like, make it, I guess. I'm not looking to be, like, the top bestseller or anything like that, but I want to reach people. And I just worry that what I'm writing isn't enough to reach people. But that won't stop me from writing it.
It is. It is.
Thank you.
I
But
mean, number one thing, I'm gonna help you to the top.
thank you. But I 100% agree. It won't stop me from writing. It won't stop that, but it does stop me from having the confidence to put it out there. Cuz like I don't want it to be like shot down, I guess. And I get worried. But then that can stop you from excelling as well. Like
Right,
what if you do have something really great and you put it out and it just happens amazing, but like the self-doubt stops that. Like
right,
are you willing to take the chance to be shot down?
right. And are you willing to just get back up after being shot down?
Exactly. Yeah.
Writing is a brutal business.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, like I love it, but it's in my opinion, it's brutal
Oh yeah.
because when you put yourself out there, you're putting yourself out there with hundreds, if
Hmm.
not thousands, of different authors, and every single one of them are incredible in their
Hmm.
own right. But you're competing with all of that, and
Hmm.
it's just like, so it's understandable. Self doubt can come up in a couple different ways as far as writer's block is concerned. I've read online that it can be, some authors may compare themselves to other authors, like the big name, like,
Yeah.
Stephen King, and
Well, yeah. It
so,
I want to add something there. I think it truly depends on genre too. Because, like you said, compare yourself to Stephen King. If you write in the genre of horror or suspense and stuff like that, you're constantly comparing yourself to Stephen King, James Patterson, stuff like that. Um, and it's difficult because I can even say not from a writer's point of view, but from a reading point of view. Like, let's take in Shiver. Like, I've been reading that, we've been reacting to it, but in the back of your head, you compare it to Twilight because there's werewolves in it.
yeah,
Like, it's such a huge thing. You're constantly comparing, well, is this better than that? Is this too much like that? Like, how do
right.
you make it different? So, there's so many things that your mind can go into in
Exactly.
comparing yourself. Like, because you want to be one of the greats. Nobody, like, puts their work out there just, like, I don't know, just for the heck of it.
Just to
You,
not be read. You
yeah,
write because you want people to read your stuff.
yeah, exactly. So, I
I'm
think
happy
that's
if
a huge
even
thing.
just I'm happy if even just one person reads my stuff. I
Yeah.
really am.
Yeah,
And if it makes a difference to that person's life, then that's even better. You
exactly.
know?
So, I mean, yeah, I wanted to expand upon that because I think that it really does also depend on like the genre. Yeah. Because you can't help us like compare yourself to some of the greats and stuff like that.
Right. Um, Another main one that I want to talk about is that sometimes writer's block may occur because somebody is just too tired to write,
Hmm.
too exhausted. Like, I'm a prime example of that. Like, I swear, like, I get up and it's like I hit the ground rolling.
Yep.
And the things that I have to do,
Hmm.
uh, with getting ready for work, doing work, and then doing stuff with my grandma after work, and then dinner, and then,
Hmm.
it's just like I feel like there's not enough
Time.
time in the day with the things that I need to do. And Italian studies, I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
you know, not enough time in the day for me.
Oh, there is
And
not.
then it's like, and then throwing in a few other personal matters into
Hmm.
play, and it's just, so like with everything that's like on my plate, like I just haven't had time to write, and it's just like, and I've just been so exhausted by the
Yeah.
time I'm ready to just relax and chill, I'm just like, no,
Hmm.
I'm too tired.
Yeah.
You know? What about you?
I agree with that. It's difficult. Like, I never feel like there's enough time
Hmm.
because, like, for me, I don't personally work, but like, my disease is very exhausting. Like, even after sleeping for 6 to 8 hours, I wake up and I've never felt refreshed. Like, ever. I've never felt like I got a great night's sleep unless I've had surgery and they've knocked my butt out. But even then, I wake up feeling in pain. Like,
Oh,
but, like, I am constantly at the doctors and stuff like that. So it's just beyond with that, with my home life and everything. I feel like we let ourselves get too comfortable with like making the excuse not to. Well, we have so much stuff on our plate, It's so like we emotionally can't or something. Like we let that become an excuse. If it's truly your passion, you just make time to do it.
right.
Like I truly believe that.
I'm a little bit offended by that statement, but you know what? I
It
know
really
that's you.
is.
It's what I've read online too,
Yeah.
but
No,
yeah.
it's your passion. And like one day I know you hope to have that as your main career and everything like that.
Hmm.
But I feel like every situation is different. You don't make excuses. You get
Hmm.
it done. You still write. But I'm saying there are some people who let that become a permanent excuse. Like they have too much other stuff to do, and so they don't necessarily do it. Not you. Like you make the time. You do it, but there's some people who will use the excuse that I just don't have the time, and then they never get around to it, which is sad to think about how many like great stories could be out there, but people either have the doubt or they just don't do it.
Get your stuff out there, people.
Yeah, literally.
We want to read your stuff.
Yeah. So that's my opinion on the matter.
Count on us being your number one fan.
Yeah.
Um, okay, and then there's just one last thing that I want to add to this, so that sometimes we just don't know why we have writer's block.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to self-diagnose. Like,
Mhm.
why am I blocked? It's not that I don't have the motivation. It's not that I don't have the
The
creative.
ideas or yeah.
Right. I don't have the self-doubt. I'm not too exhausted to write. You just sit there and you're staring at a blank page
Yep.
like, well, now what?
Yep.
So, I mean, that has happened.
I've never personally experienced that, but I know people who have. Like they sit in front and they just like their mind goes blank. Like they have the ideas, they have the drive, they have everything, but they just can't put it down.
For me, the last time I experienced that was when it was right before I made the decision to rewrite Broken.
Okay.
And I've been sitting at the computer. I'm like, I want to write. Don't know what to write. Do I take something that I've already written and rewrite it and then
Mhm.
publish it? Or do I do something different? Like, I did not know what I wanted to have as my debut novel to be
Yeah.
published.
Yeah.
So I was going back and forth between, believe it or not, Finding Dakota
Mhm.
or Kaylee's Heart. And it just, I love them.
Yeah.
Love the characters, love the plot and all that. But it just wasn't feeling it as far as the debut novel is concerned.
Yeah.
And then, after I got tired of staring at a blank page, I decided to go through all my old files. And when I did that, I came across a file. It was titled BKA with a whole bunch of H's to follow. And so I'm like, I thought I deleted this whole thing. I opened it up. It was just
Mhm.
a sliver of what was left of the entire manuscript that I previously wrote. And I'm like, and it just hit me. It was like a eureka moment. I'm
Yep.
like, this is it. This is the one.
Yep.
Funny thing is, not even that scene made it into the book.
Oh my
I
goodness.
rewrote the whole thing.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, like, that was the last time I actually sat at a computer and just didn't know why I
Yeah.
have writer's block and just stared at a blank page. Like, I literally stared at it for like a good half hour, like,
Mhm.
now what?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's about, I mean, really, I think when that kind of thing happens, it's about what message are you trying to get out there.
Yeah.
I think that's tied into the whole matter of things. But
Mhm. Yeah.
so, why do you think people might get writer's block?
I think for me, I know it can be just as simple as an emotional thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in my opinion, when you write, you have to be in an okay place yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be in a good spot.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, for example, when my grandma passed, gosh, how long did it take me? Like, over 6 months to write again. Because I was so emotional from my grandma's passing, and I couldn't emotionally describe how I was feeling. So, how was I going to write down how my characters were feeling or what was happening when I couldn't even express that myself? So, I feel like a reason why is that somebody just can't emotionally express how they are feeling, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like that was slightly jumbled. But truthfully, like, you have to be in an okay place.
Mm-hmm.
If you're writing like a story or something, not per se journaling, because journaling can help you with your emotional state and everything. But like, I can, if I'm super depressed or something like that, I can't write because I'm not able to convey how I'm feeling. So how can I do that? So I think that's another like major reason why people get writer's block, because life gets to you and it tries to beat you down, and you have to be there to like stand up to it and be like, no, I'm gonna win. And yeah, that's my opinion.
I'm gonna add to that and say I don't think that that explanation was jumbled at all. In fact, I have to 100% agree with you because the same thing happened to me when my mom died.
Yeah.
There were a few months there right after she passed away where I couldn't write. I
Mm,
just could not write.
no.
Um, Luckily, at that point, I was pretty much finished with Broken. But then when I decided to, when I realized that life is short,
Mhm.
I decided to go forward with, going through a publisher to get
Mhm.
Broken published. But another thing is that when I was in the middle of uh, rewriting Broken, I
Mhm.
actually did have a spot of writer's block because there was a scene, and I have a feeling you're gonna know which one I'm talking about. there was a scene that tied directly into my emotions of something that I had personally experienced and the way that it made me feel.
Mm-hmm.
So once I got to that scene, I couldn't get past it, like emotionally speaking, because
Yeah.
I still needed to heal from it.
Yeah.
So, and then of course I'd spoken with my pastor about it and we talked through it and stuff like that, and it ended up being cathartic
Yeah.
to write.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it, like, writing can be liberating, very
Mhm.
much so, for people who have gone through traumatic situations. I know that I'm working on a book right now about some stuff that's happened to me. And like you said, like, you need to heal from it.
Mhm.
And there's certain points where I can't write it because I haven't healed from it. I mean, unfortunately, though, there's some things that you never fully heal from. So it's something that you gotta work past, and I think that writing can help.
Yep.
I know that it's helped me through a lot of things. It's just good. Like, even if you don't want to be a writer, you don't want to make that a career, it's a version of therapy. Like, not to make this into that episode, but it can be very, very useful just
Mhm.
to get it all out.
Yep, I
Like,
agree. Another thing I'm actually currently going through writer's block with Rachel's Voice
mhm.
because it's all about neuroblastoma, and my childhood friend died from it, and so did my baby brother. So yeah, I'm kind of blocked
Yeah.
because my emotions don't want it doesn't want to go back.
Mhm.
But I know I have to go back because I am an emotional writer,
Yep.
and the people that have read my books tend to comment about that and how it emotionally ties them into the story. And I think it's because I'm putting my emotions
Yeah.
into it. So I'm going to say that I'm going to define myself as an emotional writer. So I
Mhm.
write with my emotions. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm a little bit blocked at the moment with Rachel's Voice because of that, because I literally go to sit down and try to think of the next scene that I wanna write out, and like I get tears in my eyes and stuff, and
Mhm.
it's just it's gonna be a while before Rachel's Voice comes out. So.
Yeah. And it's like it ties into what I said. Like, you have to be in an emotionally good place to do it,
Yep.
especially depending on like what you're writing about. Because if you're not, like, it can't come out, and you don't want to force it out because then it won't be like,
Authentic,
yeah, it won't be authentic. It'll feel super fake. And
of
I
course.
agree, like, reading your stuff, like, you can feel the emotion. And that's what makes it so great. Like, that it's not just some, like, off the wind idea that you just threw on a page and published. No, it's something that you put your love into. And that's what
Mhm.
makes the best kind of book. And so I cannot wait to read Rachel's Voice, but I think that everybody will agree it'll be worth the wait.
I have like 3 boxes of tissues.
Yes, I'll stock up.
All right, so moving on to the next question: how does writer's block affect you?
Me. So, it affects me in the way that when it happens, I kind of just stop. Like, some people are able to work through it and just, like, kind of move from different thing to different thing, but I cannot. If it hits me, I can't write anymore. I just stop. Like I said earlier, when my grandma passed, I couldn't write a thing on a page. Like, I just couldn't do it because, like, I just wasn't in a good enough place. And there's some days where I still don't feel like in that good enough space too.
Mhm.
So I feel like for me it affects me by, like, just, like, halting me. Like, I just can't go any further. And I had to find a way to, like, break through that, literally, like, forced myself to. But we'll get more into that later on how I did that. So, how does it affect you?
Usually, it affects me when I'm trying to get from point A to point B. I will
Mm-hmm.
typically have a beginning and a middle and an end.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have like those scenes like picked out. Though I have to say, sometimes the ending changes along the way because the characters.
Yeah.
Um, but the point being is that the scenes in between those
Mm-hmm.
can change. They can change on me, and then it's just like, well, when a new situation presents itself to my characters and stuff, they're gonna take it in a totally different direction
Mm-hmm.
from me, and then it's gonna be like, well, wait,
Yeah.
look what you just did to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where to take you next.
Yeah.
Help me out here. You know. So sometimes I may even just like skip a scene and then just like come back to it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate to do that though. I'm one of those people. I want to write it from A
To be.
to B to C.
Yep.
Like I don't like skipping.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like skipping scenes just to get to the next one. However, occasionally I will like oh, a great scene. Like I'll be in the middle of the grocery store just shopping. I'm like, I have a beyond brilliant idea that I can add to this book. So I'll go home and as soon as I get the chance, write it
Write it
down.
down. Yep.
Right. But then it takes me forever
To
in the
get.
story to get to that scene. I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
really?
Yep. I have to do that too. Like, it's difficult because, like you said, like a great idea will pop into your head, and you get that adrenaline rush of, oh my goodness, I have to get it out. But you can't, I don't like skipping either. Like, I'm like, I have to wait. So I will write down everything that popped into my head, how I was feeling and everything, and put it down so that way, hopefully, when I get to that point, like, it all comes, like, rushing back to me.
Right. Yep. And sometimes I have to throw in like filler scenes,
Mm-hmm.
and then like those filler scenes will be like, well, no, it don't make sense.
Yeah.
Here's what we're gonna do instead.
Yep.
At least they're coming from the characters.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's understandable. Does it affect you, like, in any other way?
Mm, nah,
Alrighty.
not as far as the writing process is concerned. So I think in that sense, I'm good.
Yeah, okay. Next question is, what do you do when you get writer's block?
Hmm. That's a good one. I'm always working on like 2 to 3 manuscripts at a time. So when I get writer's block on one, I'll take a break from it and then I'll move on to the next one. I think I kind of went over this into one of our previous episodes.
Yeah.
Oftentimes when I'm working on one of the manuscripts, that I don't have writer's block, I will get inspired by a scene or an idea for the manuscript that I'm stuck on, and then I'll just continue where I left off.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes I wait a few days for inspiration to hit, and if I don't feel like it, well, then right before bed, I'll just reread the manuscript I'm stuck on, or I'll just
Mm-hmm.
let the scene play in my head like a
Yeah.
daydream.
Yep.
Sometimes I'll just listen to music. So,
Mhm.
what about you? Oh, and I
Um,
have to add that when I play the music, it's usually one particular song that I listen to on repeat.
oh, I
Like,
want to know. What's the song?
no, it's just any song.
Oh, okay. Any song that you feel. Okay. Alrighty. For me, what do I do? Well, to get over my hiatus, I'll call it, after my grandma's passing, I actually got your help. And we did a little project where we took writing prompts because we each have a book, and we gave each other, like, a writing prompt for the day, and then
I
we wrote it
remember.
out, and then we shared it with each other. That is the only thing that got me out of it. Because at that point I had gone so long without writing anything that there was just no ideas. I was really blocked up. I was frustrated, and I was like looking at Amazon, so I grabbed a book and then told you about it, and then yeah, things went on from there. that is how I got out of it. Because as soon as I started writing the stories, instantly, like, scenes from my own personal stories came to me. Like, oh my gosh, you know which character would, like, actually go through with this? And I was, yeah, that it just, it helped me get out of it. Um, I know that before that happened, whenever I would get it, I'd listen to music, like you said. I find that doing anything that gets your endorphins going, like exercising, going on a walk, a hike, can really help you. And I think, like, when I was reading, it said, like, exercise is a great thing to get you out of writer's block. And I believe it, because you just get that rush, and you feel like you're able to.
I exercise, but I've never felt creative from
From
exercise.
exercise? Maybe you're
Yeah,
not exercising right.
I did. When I was reading into this, I
Mm,
did read that. I'm like, exercise.
yeah.
How does exercise plan? I'll go with the flow. If it works for some people, great, wonderful. If not me, at least not yet.
I feel like it depends on the type of exercise, truthfully, because if I were to be a power lifter, which ain't never gonna happen, but I feel like I would be too tired. But if
Hmm.
I go for, like, a stationary bike, if I ride that and I listen to music, it gets my endorphins going and I think about it. If it's strenuous, I can't, because I'm too tired and I'm just like, nope, time to lay in bed. But if it's something like, riding a bike or something like that, I think that helps. So
Okay.
maybe you're just not exercising right, all right?
Maybe I have to try something different with my exercise routine.
Yes, exactly.
So, writing prompts. They're helpful to me when I want to write something new,
hmm
but they're not really that helpful when I'm stuck.
Okay. So they were helpful to me at the one point, like, just to get me started in writing.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah, it
Really.
was amazing. We should get back to that. But I feel like, kind of similar to you, if you're in a specific story and you're really stuck on one part, I don't think it would help.
Hmm.
I think that for me personally, it helped just to get me writing again,
Hmm.
just to kind of, like, dust the old typewriter off type thing.
Yeah,
But I don't think, like, it would be continuously helpful, like being stuck in certain situations.
right. Makes sense.
Yeah. So that was a short question, but some people it really works. Like, I have looked at dozens and dozens of writing prompt books and stuff like that, and some people live by them. I think they're helpful in certain situations, but not everyone. So,
Hey,
but you do
whatever
what
works.
works. Yeah,
Okay.
you do what works for you.
Exactly.
So, number 5, our next question would be, what does getting writer's block say about you?
Well, for me, I'm somebody who has so many things running through my mind, the
Mhm.
next things of things that I'm going through on a daily basis. Um, so many fresh new ideas I get really super excited about, and then I can't help when they come. So
Yeah.
it's like when they come, I have to get them out of my head ASAP. Although sometimes they just want to stay stuck in my head for some reason.
Yep.
It's like watching a movie
Over and
over.
over.
Just replay like a broken
Record. Yep.
VHS tape or something. I mean,
Yep.
um, one of the reasons why I tend to go back and forth between a few different manuscripts, because I'll get a scene for this and then I'll get a scene for that,
Mhm.
and then I'm like, all right, I got to this, and this, and then sometime I get myself kind of stuck in a loop with writer's block,
Mhm.
and I may I may get stuck on the on the current the main primary
Yep.
manuscript that I'm writing. So it's just like, well, okay, I guess I better go back to this one or that one,
Yep.
you know. And then be like, oh, okay, now
Yeah.
I remember where I wanna. What
Yeah.
about you?
For me, I feel like it says you're human. You know, every person reaches a point where they get stuck, whether it be writer's block. I mean, I feel like writer's block is so much more than just writers. Like artists, they reach blocks, like for painting and stuff like that. They reach blocks and they can't pick up a paintbrush or whatever their utensil is because it's just like not in there.
Yep.
And so I feel like it genuinely says that you're human. Going back to certain people don't think they think it's a myth. They think it's an excuse. It's not. Some people just struggle. Congratulations for being perfect. But um like I feel like you reach a certain point where whether it be in your life, in your workplace or something, you reach a point where you're stuck and you have to find a way to get through it. So I think it
Hmm.
just says that you're human, that
Hmm.
it stumped you a little bit.
I like her answer a whole lot better than mine, guys.
I mean,
Uh,
it's just how I feel.
so what do most people not know about writer's block? Aside from the fact that some people think it's a myth.
Yeah. I think that not a lot of people know that anybody can get it. Kind of like I was saying before, like I don't feel like it's specifically just in the writing world.
Oh,
Like,
I agree.
yeah, like anybody in a creative, I guess we'll call it, business or something.
Anybody who composes music, writes lyrics,
Yeah,
does both, songwriting, you might want
yeah.
to call it, filmmaking, screenwriting, playwriting, I mean, the whole shebang, advertising, I
Hmm.
mean,
I feel like you could even go into like athletes, like dancers or something.
yeah, I
You
mean,
reach a
you
block.
got it like the advertisers,
Yep.
you gotta give them some, I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
to always come up with something different for advertising, like, that's amazing.
yeah, exactly.
Kudos to you guys. Kudos to all of you in marketing. That's all
Yeah,
I gotta say.
exactly. So I think that that would be one of the reasons, and just that, like, even the author that you love to read and can't wait for their next novel, and you're just like, oh my god, I want it now, I want it now. Maybe they need a minute. You know, maybe just give them a little bit of time, and you'll like the outcome better.
Maybe
That's yeah, maybe, maybe not. Who knows? That's my opinion. But what do you think? What's something you think that most people don't know about it?
something I actually learned when I was doing research on this. There's a psychology behind it.
Okay.
Mm. And think about that whole thing. It's all about emotions and how we compare ourselves, and a lot of that apparently is what causes writer's block. So really think about it.
So kind of like what I was saying, like you have to emotionally be in a good enough place.
Exactly.
Who knew? I
So
was
yeah,
right. Yep.
yeah, see? Yeah, there's a psychology behind it, and then if you can figure out exactly what's going on,
Hmm.
you can, like, if you can self-diagnose, you can make your way through it.
Hmm. Just work through it day by day. Take your time.
Yep.
Yep.
One day at a time, one word at a time.
Yes, one page, one word, one sentence, one
That.
step. So I guess we'll move on from there. What are tips that you would give somebody experiencing writer's block?
Well, a few of my favorite tips. Um, just allow yourself to daydream.
Hmm.
Like, I think it's important to just, sometimes you just have to let your mind wander.
Yeah.
Uh, just just sit back, relax, and let it play in your head like a little movie,
Yeah.
honestly. Or a little show, or a little movie clip, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, that's one of my favorite writer's block ways of getting through writer's block. Um, sometimes changing my scenery has also helped me,
Hmm.
so it might be worth thinking about.
Yeah.
So maybe on a parchment, uh, I
Park
totally met
bench.
that. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Park bench. Sorry, guys. Um, yeah. Back of a library
Mm.
or in my personal favorite, Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, I want to live there. Let's move in.
It's one of those places where it's really busy. You never walk into Barnes and Noble and see like nobody
Nobody.
wandering.
Oh no.
Oh, somebody's always wandering around. Someone's
Yep.
always looking at books. But it's one of those places where nobody's gonna bother you, and you can sit like a ways from
Hmm.
everybody else and just look at all the books and just be inspired by all the greats, you
Yep.
know? Like I mean, um, in the mountains, oceanside, lakeside. I mean, just change up your scenery a little bit, and you know, um, you did mention something earlier about exercise and going for
Hmm.
a walk. I did come across that. I haven't personally tried that, but I think it's a cool idea, especially
Hmm.
after you said what you said about the whole exercise thing.
Yeah.
Um, when it comes to self-doubt, I would have to say just keep writing,
Hmm.
even if it's for yourself.
Yeah. Don't give
Uh,
up.
if you're maybe someday you'll be comfortable with sharing it with other people, but the most important part is to write it for yourself first.
Yep.
And then I mean that's really what the first rough draft of any novel is. It's
Hmm.
for yourself, you
Yeah.
know? So just let yourself write. Just let your mind move through your fingers and
Hmm.
just write.
Definitely.
Um, time blocking. Time blocking is extremely crucial.
Hmm.
You have to have people who will support you in your writing. You and of course, if you don't, well, then do it in the early hours of the morning or late at night when
Yep.
everybody's still asleep, going to sleep, or still asleep.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, definitely time blocking. I've tried that and it's been helpful. So it's something that I would want to keep doing.
Hmm.
So be gentle with yourself, be diligent, and never stop
Yeah.
writing. So even if you just write one sentence a day,
Hmm. Do it.
any little bit helps.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to write terribly.
Yeah.
So,
No. Don't.
and then if you're somebody who doesn't know what exactly you want to say, just sit and think about it and
Hmm.
ask yourself, well, why am I writing this? Like, what
Hmm.
message am I trying to convey to, my audience? Who's my audience?
Yeah. Sometimes it's as simple as deciding what genre you would like to write in. Like, what genre inspires you the most. Choose it and go from there. Like, take it one step at a time.
Exactly. And of course, if there's a book out there that you have not been able to find on the market that you want to see as a book, well, then that's kind of
There you go.
a sign for you to
Yeah.
write that book.
Yeah.
I have to say, I'm in the middle of doing that right now.
Yo.
In the corner.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait for it to come out into the world because it's amazing. So, but for me, I guess I'll cut you off there. I would give people tips to, like she said, kind of change up your routine. Don't get stuck in the same old thing. It can be as small as, like, you're supposed to be writing or something, going on a walk. Listen to maybe different types of music than you normally listen to. Just something that inspires you, change it up. Like, don't be afraid to try new things. That's what life's all about. Variety is the spice of life. So get out of your comfort zone, push yourself a little bit. Because I feel like writing does that to you anyway. It
Mhm,
pushes you out of your comfort zone and it can be a fantastic experience.
mhm.
And of
I
course,
Yeah,
yeah.
so, I will have to agree with you on that because writing broken scared the living crap out of me.
Hmm.
And you know what they say, do something that scares you.
Yeah.
in something great like that. Sorry to cut you off.
No, yeah,
You
you're
can
right.
continue.
You're
That
right.
deserves to be in there.
Yeah. And just like don't give up. Don't doubt yourself. Like always stick to like your passion and your love because that will get you places. Truthfully.
Hmm.
Like if I hadn't have just decided one day to put my stuff on a website, I would have never met this marvelous woman who I'm talking to. And just the smallest things can change and accept it. It may make you uncomfortable at first. I wasn't excited about showing my face, but here I am, and I'm glad I'm doing it. So that's what I'll give you as a tip to me. So yes. So we shall move on to our last question. That is, what
Oh,
are it's your question,
so that
by
would
the
be
way.
my question. Yeah. Um, quotes, quotes about writer's block. Do you have any that you would like to share with us?
I have two.
Mhm.
So the first one is by Jacob Nordby. He says, "Writer's block is just another name for fear."
Ooh, ooh, I like it.
Yeah, especially with what we were going into earlier, like the psychology behind it. I feel like that just like, bam,
Hmm.
nail on the head. But the second one is by a man named Scott Birkin. It's not the fear of writing that blocks people. It's the fear of not writing well. That's something that's quite different. Yeah.
See? Yep. Harper Lee, as we mentioned at the very beginning.
Hmm.
Yep. Me.
All of us. Raise your hand, people.
Yeah, don't be afraid. Shout it.
Yeah. Hit that like button if you felt it. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what about you? Do you have any quotes?
I also have two. First one would be by John Gardner. It says the best way in the world for breaking up a writer's block is to write a lot.
Hmm.
And I definitely have to agree with that. This is why I write about 2 to 3 manuscripts at a time.
Yep.
When I'm sitting down to write, I'll be writing. I have like two up at
Yep.
least, 2 to 3.
Yeah.
So yeah, to just write a lot. And then the second quote, my favorite quote of all time. I mentioned it, I think, in the very first episode. Best piece of advice I had ever heard. Don't know, I still to this day don't know who the author is, but it is write with a passion as if there's no tomorrow.
Hmm. That's
Honestly, doesn't
perfect.
that like stir you to like just write?
Yep. Yeah. I think that's perfect. And I think that's a perfect place to end it.
Hey. All right, everyone, that's all the time that we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us here on another episode of The Flow of Ink.
Where we appreciate you very much, each and every one of you. We hope that you join us for next week's episode, where we will be discussing the last book in the Shiver series by Maggie Seafotter, Sinner. So that should be interesting. Please join us.
And if you have any questions for us, please drop a comment below and we will address it in our Q&A portion of next week's episode at the beginning. And we promise we won't bite.
So don't forget to hit that bell icon and subscribe to our channel so you get notified for every episode that we post. And thank you for joining us here at The Flow of Ink. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Ciao for now.
Bye bye.